if you are interested in listening to a presentation that has no words on a single slide, then that's a great one. If you want to learn about yesterday I owned a car, and a presentation made by no less than Andreu Vea, who is the champion, digital champion for Spain of the European Commission. It's my very great pleasure, and I very much look forward to it. And I let the father of the internet to introduce Andrea. Thank you very much.
Hola, my name is Vince Cerf. I'm Google's chief internet evangelist, and I'm one of the co-inventors of the internet. And I want to talk to you about an absolutely amazing book that a friend of mine, Andreu Veà, has spent nearly 20 years working on. He's done 320 interviews. He's got 800 people that he talks about who were the creators of the internet all around the world. This book is a compendium of the story of the internet's creation. And it's created in the process a friendship for me with people all around the world, but particularly friends in Barcelona and in Madrid, where I've discovered that the friendliest people in the world live. So this book is something that you will treasure if you get your hands on it, because it's a resource with stories that are personal in nature, but that tell the story of the internet over a long period of its development. So I can recommend it to you, and I certainly recommend knowing Andreu Veà, who knows everybody in the world because of all the interviews that he's done. So if you need to get in touch with someone, he's the guy you need to talk to.
Good afternoon. Thanks for coming. I'm really happy to be at home again in Barcelona. And this afternoon, I would like to introduce a different concept of what you used to see here in cars and connected cars, to give you a different perspective that you have seen up to now. I'm used to be in another kind of environment, another kind of, with some more. Let's say hello. Let's see. Oh. Well, if you can try to go to the next one, please. Oh, here you are. With more people, with more. Thank you. In a different kind of environment, even the temperatures. And I would like to make you think one little thing. As humans, we have 700,000 hours of duration. There's always the grandma who knows lasts more, okay? But normally, as a humans, as an average, we have 700,000. So if we discount all 1/3 that we are sleeping, you have like 470,000 hours. So we have to be really prompt and really fast and use your life really well. If you multiply by 50, 60 people who are here, so I have a big responsibility to use your time very responsible. Okay? So, as Ilona said already, if you hear things, you forget. If you see things, you remember. So I'm going to try to make my presentation only with images and some letters, of course, but really, really few letters. So I'm going to try to do it. Okay? So tonight I have a challenge. And this challenge is to change your life. I said, what's this guy is saying to me? No? Well, at least to open your eyes to a different world that probably you haven't noticed. And I have only 30 minutes to do that. Imagine that robots will occupy most of the jobs in 20 years. You heard about that probably. But the problem for humanity is not that. It's probably the biggest challenge because to find a meaning of your life when work is not necessary anymore. That's a real problem. But let's see. It's not something which could be bad or something like that. If I ask you what your great-grandfather had as a profession, probably you would answer me farmer or day laborer. All of the people here, at least 80%, all of them were farmers. That was only 100 years ago. My father worked for the same company 41 years. I used to work for the same company 4 years. I don't know my daughter if she's going to work 4 months or what in each company. Things are changing. Okay? So I structured my presentation in a very, very innovative way, talking about the past, the present, and the future. So there's 3 parts. Okay? I have gone through this. This was mine. I had a modem. This is a modem for the internet. It was like 300 bits per second. Okay, a quarter that an ATM machine right now is working. So nowadays, backbones in the internet go to 300 gigabytes. That means a billion factor in my own life. And I'm not dead yet, so it's going to be more. Okay? Do you remember this? Maybe you will get nostalgic. Like most of us were taught, and in my case, they forced me to write 300 bits per minute, which was really, really fast. And I was one of the, the cool guys having these things that was really with infrared and the connection with the devices. And also, this was my work environment in 2000s. It was full of bits and bytes. It was really, and making these things work in Catalan. So if you see some mistakes, you know now the guilty guy. So this guy changed my life because he read my doctoral thesis and made the foreword and invited me to Stanford. So I moved there. You probably know this. See? The Silicon Valley? No, this is not the Silicon Valley. This is San Francisco. The Silicon Valley is this. Okay? It's a place with Stanford and a couple of tech-based companies around. And this was my office at Stanford. It looks like Harry Potter, but it's not. This was like here. And I earned my life bringing companies from Spain, especially from Madrid and Barcelona, to there. And I started an international research program that it's called WeWill, Who is Who in the Internet World, that we do really easy things. One of them is to capture all the information, all the pioneers. Imagine that you, right now, could listen to Thomas Alva Edison telling you how he invented the bulb, okay? And then you could listen to him directly, his voice. In a few years, we could do this because for the first time in history, the inventors of the internet and the people who changed our history are still alive. That never happened. With Jesus, like the gospel was 400 years after his death. So we are collecting our voices, text, videos, and a part of this, one of the subproducts of this had been a book that you can point here with your cell phone, and then you can listen directly. I send you an MP3 directly to your ear with their voices. And they explain it to you how they created the email, the FTP, and all the stuff. Okay? And meanwhile, we find the first iPhone. This is the first iPhone. We call it new technologies. It's 1975. That was working on the Arpanet. And we also knew people like him, with Doug Engelbart, who changed your life, but even you don't know that. And, well, for instance, you can see the mouse and other things that he created. When you see this black thing is that he passed away. Okay? So I am very stressed because after I interview them, they pass away. But it's not me, okay? It's because they're in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So in 1969, these people created the Arpanet, and all this work was open. This is the male inventor, Ray Tomlinson. You will never see him because he never let any journalist to interview him. Or the inventors of the Ethernet. They have it in really... And what they do is to put all them together, treat them to dinner, And after 20 or 30 years that they haven't seen each other, I put them together, and I record them talking. Because when you are in your peers, you normally don't lie. Yeah? Okay, so here you have a few of the 320 interviewees which form this collection, and I call them the VIP, the very interesting or very important people on the internet. Probably you know these guys, not the others. You probably know the billionaires. If you don't know them, I will make a new click, and now it will sound more familiar. These guys used the technology that they created and they let it open to create their fortunes. Let's focus a little more in technology. This is also mine. Okay? This is my camera. Probably in 1998, you were doing like 36 to 72 slides per year because it was expensive. You have to go your slides and put to the laboratory. And guess what? From 1998 to 2001, this is 3 years, the paper disappeared. And we disguised a computer as a camera. This is the first digital camera. Probably you never saw it, but it was created in 1975, also new technologies. It was 4 kilos. It was only 10,000 pixels, which is nothing, black and white, and it took more than, well, almost half a minute to record one single picture. So the technology was, this is the guy who created, a poor guy at Kodak. He needed like 20 years that somebody believed him, okay? But technology was going, was following the Moore's law, and with all exponential technology, there is always a disappointment for a long, long time. This long, long time sometimes can be decades. Let's see what happened exactly. Kodak, as I told you, here, they launched it, and what happened? They disrupt their own market. Nobody else could use the paper. They had 80%. They were a monopoly. And they disappeared in 3 years, 1998, 2001. And let's make it clear. Now we have digital cameras. Some of us, we still have these things in our pockets, but not many. Because look, if the digital camera sells in millions, after 2012, every year, every single year, divided by 2. And probably now, in 2003, they are going to sell like 5 million cameras, nothing. Why? Well, because another thing disrupted the disruption. In this case, we know the CCD, these cameras, it's what we bring in our cell phones. But this is going, the wafer level camera, wafer layer camera, where you can insert the camera in the layer already of the wafer. So it's going to be so tiny that you can imagine where places that you can embed this camera. Okay, it's going to be even tinier than what you have in your cell phones right now, which is the bigger one. Let's talk about Moore's law. Moore's law, it's telling you that the power of a computer can be increased by 2 every 18 months. But in this case, we are talking about the human genome that was expected to be resolved in 25 years, and it compressed, shrinks to 15 years. And in this 15 years, you had that the price was dropping. But was dropping so dramatically that even the Moore's law, which is exponential, was falling so fast that something that in 2010 could be $100,000 right now, well, it has dropped again to less than 1,000. If you wanted to get your human genome sequenced, I did that already, is around 300 to 1,000 euros, which is nothing compared to 100 millions in 2001. So that's how things fall. The exponential age is exactly this, data storage. Every 18 months, you have 50% of the discount. After 12 months, in digital imaging, you have 60% more of pixels that you can record. And data transmission is the same. Every 9 months, you divide it by 2. So if we talk about innovation, it's when something can increase by 2, a factor of 2. But if we talk about disruption, it means that it's a factor of 10 or more. Okay? So you are dividing the price, you are increasing your whatever by 10. Okay? Let's put an example that it's nice. In 1900, this is Sunday, on Easter Sunday, on 1900. Fifth Avenue, New York. Can you see? Well, no, I'm going to ask you, where is the car? It's easy because it's in the circle, okay? The unique car, it's here. All is horse riders. But 13 years later, can you tell me where is the horse? Fifth Avenue, same Sunday, Easter Sunday, in New York. I repeat, 1900, there is one car. 1913, this one horse. This is disruption, okay? And when people tell you, no, it's impossible that we have been with internal combustion engines for all our life, at least that we remember. So it's impossible that in 13 years we can change to electric vehicles. Well, they did that already. But this time, it's going to be tougher, okay? This is from the Wikipedia. If you search which are the biggest companies in the world right now, guess what? I selected the first 10, and from these 10, 7 are related to petroleum or car makers. So I am asking you, well, for sure there will be a disruption, but they will try to at least not to make it fast. Okay, so let's leave the past. Let's go to the present. I am an electrical engineer, okay? But electrons are not cool anymore. Now we are in the age of photons, photonics. With one single fiber, optical fiber, you can put 25,000, with the actual technology, you can put 25,000 times the whole radioelectric spectrum. Okay? I repeat, only with one fiber. And the radioelectric spectrum, you have all the TV channels, all the radio channels, everything. Only one single fiber can carry 25,000 radioelectric spectrum. Remember this with the actual technology, and this is increasing. Images. If you have an X-ray, probably you need to be a medical doctor because you don't see anything. You don't need to be a doctor to be this woman. You can even see the water facing down. 3D printing, you know that already. This is something that will disrupt. I ate already a pizza, but the tomato was not so good. But well, this depends on the ink, no? Is this the official ink or it's not it's a copy? Okay, but it depends on that. But this is already here. This is the present. Also, with candies, all the kids, you present this kind of candies. It's eatable. Fashion. I'm not gonna give my opinion of that, but you can do it. Why don't we print a home? If you change just the printer and concrete, you can print homes. Or artificial schools. This was a girl from Netherlands, and it was made in Barcelona. She had an issue that her brain was like growing, so they changed the skull, and she's fine now. Okay, you can even print synthetic ears already, or noses. The good thing here is that you don't need any mold. It's a moldless technology, because noses you are going to print one. Everyone has its own nose, so it's a different thing. But then the mold was so expensive. Not anymore. You don't need mold anymore. Even bones. The jaws is probably the most strong bone. You can make it in case of an accident or reconstruction. You can have these things already done. In bionics, you have these legs. As humans, we have the good luck that huge hair. It's a former Príncipe de Asturias of science, that he had an accident climbing, and then he, with his fellows at the MIT, created these bionic legs. Nanotechnology. Probably you haven't seen yet this, but we have tattoos for everything. You put many sensors in a car, but you don't put sensors in a human. So right now, you can put this is the skin. You have wireless communication, you have a LED, a gauges, sensor of temperature, electroencephalogram, photodetectors, whatever in your skin directly. Or why, when you are in the hospital at 6 a.m., they open the door and say, hello, I'm going to ask you for your temperature, and you put the thermometer, and they wake you up for nothing. When you can have this thing, which is 24 euros, it's in the market already, that you have a continuous temperature monitor. The Internet of Things, no disruptive things. I always say the Internet of Things that matter. Things of what? The things that matter to me. I joined this quantified self movement that is like a self-knowledge through numbers, no? How to know yourself. For instance, I always measure the CO2 that on the rooms that I am, okay? And also the temperature. So if you are in a room all the night, according to the officials, more than 4,000 parts per million CO2, it's bad, okay? But then when you open the window, the temperature falls, and the CO2 it's fine, okay? What else? I also measure the body temperature continually. How do we do that? Well, you have also a sensor, and the weight, strangely, in just one day, you can weigh 1 kilo or more, or less. So having you weight once every 3 months, that variable is useless, okay? This would be the thing, and you have an average. If you put 6,000 sensors under your mattress, you can know exactly how do you sleep, okay? And even continuously how my heart rate is beating. This is not an app from the iPhone. It's a mattress with an array of sensors that it exactly tells you how you are sleeping. You can, when I say the Internet of Things that matter, you can lower your bills, your gas bills, by 40% doing smart things like this. When you are away from home, when you are bringing this, your cell phone knows where you are, and then you connect that to that thermostat, and then lowers the temperature. And when you come over, you come back home, then they increase the temperature 1 degree every hour without using much gas. The same here, that you can connect whatever to your counter, so you know your power consumption, and you can clip or trick these peaks in order to lower your bill at the end of the month. I am very proud to say that I have my first IP addressable bulb. Okay? Are you happy? Yes, but not because this. It's because you can do things like that, or even if an important email is coming, then you have like you have a recipe that then the light is turning on, depending on the people who come over. So let's focus in the car technology. And if we think what was the best innovation in the car technology, that probably the thing that appears is the diesel engine, or the four-wheel drive. It was 1903, or probably the three-point safety belt by Volvo, this guy, the engineer. But that was 1959. We haven't done anything since then. I mean, we have improved the engine, but it's not disruptive. We have been in something that if you observe right now, I am traveling all around the world, I can see things, very weird things, okay? In engines and motor, if you have an electric saw, okay, with the power, and you can do this. I was in Slovakia a few months ago, and they show me this. They call it the Aeromobile, okay? But they have the specs, and it's not only a prototype. They have it already, okay? And it works. So imagine this, okay? It's a car. The wings are spanning, and it flies, okay? In less than 3 minutes, you convert your car into something that flies, okay? This is what you can see. I went to England, and they showed me this, okay? It's called a quada, and you put it on wherever you want on the sea, and then in few seconds, it gets in a terrestrial mode. In Barcelona, for instance, they have this EV card, and you have free parking, free recharging. It's not forever, probably, but at least right now is like this. And let's think a little bit about, do you know who is the largest electric vehicle maker? Is this company. Probably you haven't heard about, Build Your Dreams. It's a Chinese company. It's called Beat. And the second is this one, Tesla. It's more well known. But think a little bit that in Europe, for instance, we are paying for a network of charging stations in order that Chinese and US cars come over. It's not very, but this is what we are facing. Think a little bit about Uber and taxi. You know that they cannot see each other, okay? And right now, I read that today in the European Union, they failed in favor of the taxi drivers. Well, we'll see how it ends. Let's talk the last part about the future. I always say that predicting the past is always easier than predicting the future. So that's why I am focused on history of the internet. But making forecasts when you are in these slopes of exponential age for a time horizon larger than 10 minutes is like betting to look like a fool, okay? So I could tell you, I predict that the connected car with the batteries will be like this. I said, okay, it's very weird, but I prefer not to predict. But I would like to tell you that be aware about experts. I'm not an expert. But I am very curious and I observe. I'm not an expert because probably these experts, they tend to fail predicting disruption. There is so many cases in history that the people from the sector, they don't see it. Even a person who is out of the sector can see it more. There is going to be disruption in these four fields, energy storage, solar, autonomous and shared cars, and electric vehicles. Let's see the batteries, for instance. This is the most advanced thing that we have. Okay? This is the Tesla battery pack. When I say battery pack, it's rigorously a battery pack. Okay? It's like a AA thing. If you iterate that and you put it in a pack, and this pack you put it in a long rows and columns, and then you make that thing, and you put that underneath the sofa, or well, not the sofa, on the car, underneath the car. Okay, this is how Tesla works. So see, it looks funny, but right now it's like this. Probably in 20 or 30 years we are gonna be funny and laughing at this. But this is how right now how we know it. In 10 years, and I'm not saying a prediction because this is 2016 it's not a post-diction, it's not a prediction, okay? So I'm going to tell you that in the last 6 years, the price went down 3 times. So they say, you can believe it or not, that in 10 years, this price is going to fall 7 times more, and the capacity will increase only 3 times. But we are making batteries at an unprecedented scale. If you probably have heard that Tesla created a Gigafactory, and the target price is $100. Right now, well, in 2016, we were 227. But Tesla right now is saying that they can make it at 190. But this is 3 years before that was predicted. And the parity with the internal combustion engine, it's going to be in 2022, which is 5 to 10 years before that was predicted. So you will not have to give the incentive, the fiscal incentive, to electric vehicles in 5 years, around like that. This is the Gigafactory at the beginning, of 2017, and it's huge. Photovoltaic. It's another thing that I was telling you that is falling and falling and falling, from $76 to 30 cents, which is like 15 something. This is going to be disruptive. And no, Google didn't invent a self-driving car. Okay? No, many years ago, people were driving autonomously. But what I'm telling you here is that you heard many things that sometimes are right, sometimes are not really true. You probably heard about DARPA, the guys who created the Arpanet. Again, the DARPA challenge, the urban challenge, was 2004, 2014. During 10 years, there was this competition. Sometimes we won Stanford, the other the MIT, Pittsburgh. Every time, the different teams were winning. And after this, they created this self-driving technology. It comes from here. They won $1 million each year. And they created, with different brands, different technologies. Finally, these guys from Google bought all the teams at Stanford, at MIT, and whatever. They put it all together, and they did the Google self-driving car, which are, well, in China, for instance, they tried to cross China already, and they did it all. Driverless. Is this magic? No. It's pattern recognition. So if I tell you that this car goes from point A to point B without nobody, this is pattern recognition. And as humans, we beat computers. We are really good in massive parallel calculation. Okay? Computers are serial, so calm. Our human brain right now is 38,000 tera calculations per second. And our best computer, supercomputer, is way ahead of our brain. So be calm. But how a deep neural network works and sees. I enter this image. We have brute force algorithms that we break it in pieces, and we calculate these different neural networks, and we finally have the solution and say, OK, this is the Audi A7. It's not magic. It's neural networks. And we know that we are in this exponential age. Here we have the number one, the first computer, the supercomputer in the world. They have like a competition, and twice per year, they have the number one and also the number 500. Okay? So if you see, this is the number 500, and the red one is the number one. The biggest computer is 93 petaflops per second, floating points operation per second. Let's have, if you have an iPhone 6 or iPhone 7 or whatever, this was created in 2014, and it's 115 gigaflops per second. Okay? So around this point. Let's see this point. If we put it backwards, we have it here. That's exactly 20 years ago. It's 2014, 1994. Probably you remember what you are doing in 1994. The biggest computer there is exactly your iPhone right now. So the supercomputer from today is our cell phone from tomorrow, in just 20 years. This was, I can tell you that you need like a nuclear central to make it work, this supercomputer. This goes with battery, and it lasts 1 day. And the capacity, the computer capacity is the same. We can even calculate right now how you breathe. Okay? If you sneeze, I can tell you with meters per second exactly the speed of your air within your body. If we have these machine learning algorithms, and this is very new, for the first time, we are really good as humans in image recognition. When you see somebody, you can tell if it's your friend or not. Sometimes you fail, sometimes. You have a human error. It's like 50 to 15%. You have a human error. But imagine that since 2012, we introduced these big-scale neural networks that reduce the computer error really dramatically, doing this almost better than humans. I say almost better, not yet, okay? But with 5 million neurons, when you create this huge neural network, you can emulate a human. The same with the speech recognition. You know the Siri in your cell phone, it's not working well, but we are almost there with a human error. When you listen to somebody, you can recognize the speech, and you have like a 5% of error. And again, when you introduce these huge scale neural networks, the error rate falls dramatically. So let's talk about the future of the car. We have already connected cars. You just drop your cell phone in your car, and your car is connected because you are around. Another thing is the coverage. Okay? If you don't have this covered yet, you can use these free apps. This is Life 360 for your family. It is a 5 circle for free. And also this automatic. This works only in America because the cell phone, it works only there. But it's really interesting that you plug directly one attachment to your car central, and you have everything. The engine, how long it takes to replace the gas, all this driving data is synced with your smartphone. It's really interesting. I hope that someday we can really project, because right now people does something very weird. When you put your cell phone here, you are driving and you're looking at Google Maps here, and then your cell phone falls down, and it's really, really not working. And also, this connected car, when you use this application, Moves, with Move Scope, I know exactly where I go. Okay, with my car, you can see where I'm living, when I leave my children at school, because in green is walking, in blue is by bike. I know that it's a bike because this is a highway, and look what you have to do with the bike to cross the highway. No, it's not a. So if it's green, it's walking, biking, or by car. It's exactly all the movements that you do. Also connected, Scania is a Slovak brand, reached in February 2017, reached 250,000 of trucks networked. They have all their trucks connected. And the question is, how long an average owner uses his car? It's around 8%. Some of them say 4, some of them say 6. They say more conservative, 8%. Well, the duty rate of a drill is less than that. It's 0.01, okay? But all of us, we have a drill at home. Even we don't need it. Each car stays in use more than 90% of its time. So one shared car is the equivalent of 9 owned cars. That's amazing. But even we have seen this all our life, and we keep doing this. No? Electric. No, Tesla didn't invent the electric car at all. Imagine that 1997, 2017 is exactly the 20th birthday on February the 14th. Toyota sold the 10 millionth unit of this hybrid, not only the Prius, but the hybrid concept. Well, they didn't invent it, but they have the longest range vehicle. The range per charge, well, if you are living in a warm zone, in a warm country, it's good for you, because the same amount of money you will pay for your Tesla, but it will last much more. Imagine in this thing, if it's 10 under 0, you have a range of 555 kilometers, and the same car, the same speed, you have almost 700 here. Right? With only, well, but you are sweating probably a lot. Tesla has sold only 2,100 cars, which is not much if you compare to any other brand here present here. But they passed the deception already. The deception period that this guy who had the camera, and the camera was only 10,000 pixels, and said, oh, this is not good, this digital camera is terrible. This is a 20 years deception, and they passed that. And the exponential curves start. Can you see this? Can you remind you something? They are starting to ramp up to 500,000 vehicles in 2018. And they are building a network of free superchargers. Spain and Italy probably are I don't know really why, but they probably found a lot of trouble. It was like an island. A few weeks ago, this was free. So, well, there's very few engine makers. This is like an oligopoly. But they have between each other ultra-high competition that brings you to moderated prices. But it's amazingly engineered. Every time, the complexity is increasing. If not, talk to the people who fix your car. Before, they could do whatever. Now, they need the computer to see what's happening. Electric motors are much, much simpler, and even a kid can build it. Okay? And this is what they call a squirrel cage AC motor. That is used by Tesla and most of the electric cars. And as I told you, it's very, very simple. You put one engine here, one motor there, and that's it. And they have 18 moving cars compared to 2,000 moving cars from the others. Okay? This is a perfect entry barrier. If I tell you, why don't you do a car at your home? So you say, well, it's impossible. I cannot do it. But if I do it, I tell you, why don't you build this do-it-yourself car, electric car, in 1 hour? And they did that. Compare. Well, it's not nice, it's bulky, it's whatever, but you can do it. For instance, here in Barcelona, I have been researching, and there is a pack that they sell you on a Smart with its 23,000. You can charge it 80% in 45 minutes. It's a range, small range, 160 compared to a Tesla, but it's only 23,000. And, well, you can charge it with the local utility, 10,000 kilometers per year for free, if you charge it at 1 to 7 a.m. To wrap up, well, in 10 years, we should expect 50% of manufactured cars to be electric. Think that it's good for Europeans because we will depend less on this energy. And there will be a tipping point when the electric and autonomous will really start all around. And there is already a social change about owning a car. I was talking that my niece, for instance, she doesn't want to have a car. When we were 18, everybody was waiting to be 18, to be a car, to have your driver license. Not anymore. Norway, Denmark, and Netherlands already banned the internal combustion engine cars. This is amazing. For 2025, they will be banned. They did that already. Okay? So I envisage a coordinated driving, not only autonomous, but coordinated with car networks. Because we can have a lot of efficiency, not only from energy, going from combustion to full electric. Not only that, but the utilization asset, it's like 4%, we said, to 80, 90%, or to the autonomy, that they can go from here to the totally autonomous. Wrapping up, what happened to all these things? To our typewriter, to our camera, to our cell phone. We have disguised them, a computer, we disguise it as a typewriter, as a camera, and as a cell phone. We don't have a phone anymore. This is a disguised computer, disguised as a cell phone. So this is the time to disguise a computer as a car. Introduction, OK? It will enter the exponential age. When you put a computer, you start going up, and very fast. And also, linear predictions will not apply. Okay? It's going not to be a linear, because you are in exponential. When you put a computer anywhere, things happen. So be prepared, be advised. And one last thing. The intelligent man knows everything, but the wise man knows everybody. I'm telling you, could you tell me what is the common object, or the common thing in these two objects? Carbon. The carbon atom. OK, depending on these atoms, how you combine them, how you network them, you obtain graphite, which is soft and dark, or you obtain the diamond, which is probably the hardest thing. And those properties do not reside in the carbon atoms. They arise in the interconnections between them. So I'm telling you, the same with humans. The pattern of connections among people can give you different properties depending on the networks you live. So our experience of the world depends on the structure of the networks in we are residing. So these fairs and these places that we come over are really important because you are constructing, you are building your networks, and I'm telling you to try to research your own network. For instance, this is an exercise where you calculate 2 or more common links with me. My friends, I can calculate who are more interconnected. And you can do this really easily right now with Facebook, with tools that are free on the internet, and create all your people, putting in these social places, and you're going to have an incredible power. The network will empower you with your customers, with all your world is going to change, depending on the place you are residing and the networks you are residing. Thank you.